Welcome back to Standard Education, Friday, April 16th, 2:22 p.m. We are have a last minute but very welcomed addition to our calendar. We have Tom Cheney with us returning. Tom was scheduled to come in on Tuesday, but given that we have a little time this afternoon, we thought we'd have him back. Mr. Cheney, great to have you with us.
Thanks. Great to be here. Great to see you all again.
And we will, we'll give you the floor and you can bring us back to where we were and where we need to be with you.
Great.
Thank you.
Sounds great. So I was able to pull some quick testimony together that is on the website right now. So if you want to take a look, it's not slides this time. It's some words. So I'll work from those a little bit in the beginning here. So to start, my name's Tom Cheney and I'm the Executive Director of Advanced Vermont. Great to see you all again. And so just want to review a little bit of who we are and then talk about what our appropriations ask is. So as you may recall, Advanced Vermont is the sole organization in the state really dedicated to meeting the state's goal that 70% of Vermonters have a credential of value by 2025. And we've really focused our work on helping Vermonters with significant barriers to post-high school education and training and really help them aspire and attain the skills necessary to land well-paying jobs in the state, while really focused also on supporting the great needs that our employers have for a well-trained workforce. So to do this, we know we have to be dedicated to closing equity gaps for those who are low income, first generation, people of color, those with a disability, and other historically marginalized populations. So again, as a little bit of a refresher, two of the biggest pieces of our work are myfuturevt.org and what we call the Vermont Credential Transparency Project. And so MyFutureVT is the state's only comprehensive resource that connects job and education seekers with career information, the in-state post-high school education training programs, and direct services to support their career and education pursuits. So that is a site that I talked to you about last time that is in beta form right now. We're finishing up some development tweaks and literally days from now, we will begin a public communications campaign that will really get the word out about this site. And we'll be continuing, and part of the request is we really want to continue to build the site out as we go to make it as valuable as possible. And then one of the key foundations for the site is this Vermont Credential Transparency Project. This is the work, our body of work, as we call it, to catalog all of the post-high school education and training credentials in the state. So right now, we're well on our way to collecting all of those that are aligned with the high pay, high demand jobs. So McClure, as I think you know, puts out a brochure every year with VDOL that takes the high pay, high demand jobs in the state and kind of puts that out for Vermonters to see. And we've put that on MyFutureVT. It's a cornerstone of MyFutureVT, but we've started collecting the programs in Vermont that align with those jobs. But we want to build that out so that we have all. And as we've learned, it is a very, very big undertaking and takes a lot of time and thought and coordination with all the various institutions in the state. We're talking all of the universities and colleges, but also those that are offering other programs, our CTE centers, our regional technical centers from across the state, and then many, many other programs that we have to establish relationships with to make sure that we get their information. And the great thing about this work is that it actually plugs right into a lot of state work, particularly around the workforce, in workforce development and in the agency of education. So it really, there's a lot of kind of connections to state government with collecting this data that can be used for, by job seekers and education seekers to understand what programs are available and a real apples to apples comparison that we just don't have in the state at this point. But also higher ed and training providers will be able to use this data, understand what is it that is other people are offering, where there might be a gap, where my organization might, my program, if I'm the University of Vermont, could maybe create another course offering. It's also great marketing for them as well. If we have this information, it goes into a national database, and then it also goes on to My Future VT for all of Vermont and really anybody to see. So just that's the quick overview of the two main projects we do. And then just a reminder that Advanced Vermont is all about collaboration and partnerships. So we work with all the relevant state agencies, both the public and the private colleges, the CTEs, a lot of the other education and employer associations, and many nonprofits and philanthropic causes in Vermont. So that, in a nutshell, is a quick overview of Advanced Vermont. And Senator, Mr. Chair, would you like me just to jump into the appropriations request?
That would be terrific. Thank you.
Okay. So to support that work, we're asking for $350,000 of American Rescue Plan Act funds for this coming fiscal year. And really our thought is that we want to dedicate those funds to really helping all of our programs to assist in the pandemic workforce recovery, and just to further all of our good work. So VSAC is our fiscal agent. So I should just note that. I may have mentioned that the last time, and they're fully supportive of this request. So just want to make sure that we stated that as well. I think I alluded to a little bit what we want to do with those funds. My Future VT is up, but we have a lot of plans for making it a stronger resource for Vermonters. That means right now, if you were looking for careers, you're going to find the high pay, high demand careers. And we certainly want people to focus on those. There's a need in Vermont for those jobs to be filled. And it's good for employers and it's good for those who get those jobs, right? But we also want to broaden that list of careers to really a much broader catalog of careers, so that those who are maybe not interested in the careers, those 66 high pay, high demand careers, but also could find really gainful and great employment somewhere else, can see that there's a path for them. So we want to build that out, and it's very important to us that we do that while also still flagging the high pay, high demand jobs. And then same with the programs. Like I said, we really want to make sure that we can have all post-high school programs in the state in our registry, in our database, and also on My Future VT. And then we have to continue to build out the services. So one of the things the key thing we want people to be able to do when they reach My Future VT is to be able to say, I'm interested in a career. Great, found it. I'm interested in, I know I need education and training to pursue that career. Okay, great, found it. But I actually don't know how to access that education, or I don't know exactly how to access that career. Well, there are a slew of absolutely wonderful direct services in our state, as you all know, and we want to be able to connect people very quickly to those services so they can be on the phone or in a meeting with a VSAC counselor quickly, a VDOL counselor quickly, a vocal rehab counselor quickly, and so on. And we've made sure that those lists of services are also very searchable by identity. So I am youth, I am an adult, I am LGBTQ, I'm a person of color. Here are some of the key resources that will work for me. So we want to continue to build those resources out, and that's going to require partnerships across the state to make sure that we truly are connected to all of the resources that can help career and education seekers. We have a pretty robust list now, but we expect it to grow on a regular basis, but that's going to take work. It's going to take staff time to establish those relationships and get that information, and really to establish partnerships. Finally, or maybe it's not quite finally, we also need to make sure that the word gets out about this resource. You can build the best website in the world. You can build the best education and training program in the world, but you have to have people know about it. So we're going to have a robust marketing campaign, but also an outreach campaign. So the marketing campaign is what you would expect. We will be doing social media and other forms of advertising, but we also need to make sure that we get in front of school counselors, different folks who work with our target audience for this resource, and make sure they know about it, they know how to use it, and that they are using it with their students or their clients. So that is an incredibly important piece of the work that we have to make sure we do. And that does take time and staff resources to do. We're also looking to have translation services. It's so important, as I said, that we meet everybody where they are, and that we make sure that we're reaching those harder to reach populations, those who need it most. So we are currently working on adding translation for the site, and we want to make sure that's as robust as we possibly can. So that is something we'll be working on this year. And then we want to have more success stories. We want to make sure that everybody can see that there is an opportunity in Vermont for them. So we want to make sure that there are stories, visuals, videos that are demonstrating that this resource, or not just that this resource is, but that Vermont is a place for them, and that there is an education and training and a career path that will work for them. So, we have plenty of words, plenty of resources on the site, but it really does make a big difference for people if they can see people like them in pursuit of these careers, or actually in these careers, or in these education and training programs. So we want to build out a really robust library of different types of media so that people can see themselves, but also because we know that people interact with websites in different ways. Some like to see the text, some like to see the videos, some like to see the other visuals, and we really need to make sure we reach people, like I said, where they are, and that they see themselves and see the opportunities that they could have for themselves right here in Vermont. So now, finally, for sure, with My Future VT, we want to build out more employer resources, but also part of those success stories is to really highlight some employers that are doing great work, who can be really model employers for different professions, so that people can make those direct connections. But also so that employers feel like they're supported in supporting their current and future workforce. So they have a better understanding of what post-secondary programs are available, so they can help guide their workforce for more education and training that they may need. They may have a better understanding now of what is offered at, say, Castleton University, because, and so they know what an incoming, employee might have in terms of skills and backgrounds based on a better understanding of the career program or the degree program that they went through. So we want to continue to build out those resources for employers as well. And I think that's a really important connection to make.
Do you have something besides I remember looking at your website, which I really like, but are there other ways that you're reaching out to people? Because not everyone, again, has a computer online, they might go to a public library, but in these days that also is limited.
Yeah, so that's a really great point. And so first of all, for our outreach, our outreach for this resource won't just be through computer means. Ultimately, if someone wants to see this site, they will have to, go to a computer. But the other thing that this provides is it provides a real resource for the people we call the navigators, the school counselors, career counselors,
right. Okay, that's
employers. So people will access it just by virtue of their navigator having access to it. So I just happened to have a call with some navigators the other day that work actually at Voc Rehab, and they were saying that this is a tool that really will be essential for them, because it puts a lot of the key information that they use with their students, I should say, or their customers in one place. So it's a real resource for them to be able to have these things at their fingertips, as opposed to having to think about, and that a lot of people are using spreadsheets or different things that are hard to keep up and maintain. And so we're doing that for them with this site.
Great. And one more question, if I may, do you feel like you really do have sometimes down here in Southern Vermont, some of these programs just don't reach us? And tell me a little bit about that. Make me feel better that you're all down here working and keeping an eye on my constituents down here.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And we have conversations. Of course, these days we're not traveling much, but we have good conversations with people from across the state all of the time. So as an example, with My Future VT, Bennington College was one of the first to put in their program information, and we're very excited to do so. We are working with CTEs from literally every single corner of the state. We're often working with different service providers from every corner of the state. So, and quite honestly, I have a dream that I think that these funds from this year can help us realize, is to really lend more regional technical support. So we can go to more of those convenings. There are a lot of regional convenings around workforce, around education and training, and a lot of planning. There's different regional boards and that kind of thing. And we would love to be able to have the capacity to go and provide expertise and work with regions as they focus on meeting even regional attainment goals. So that's definitely a dream that we have for our work, and these funds will help us build that capacity to do it.
Senator Lyons and then Senator Hooper.
I'm pleased with the update. Sounds great. And I think what you're planning to do with the funds sounds absolutely terrific. So my only comment is at the bottom, you said APRA instead of ARPA. I sent you a note. I just sent you a little note. It's not a big deal, but
I see the typo.
I did the same thing the other day. That's why I noticed it. No, I don't have any further questions. Just really amazing and terrific work, Tom. It's just really great.
Thanks. We're a very small and nimble team, and we really appreciate that compliment.
Senator Hooper.
Try to be nimble.
That's a good segue, Tom, into my question. How big is your team?
Yeah, so we have 2 of us and then a very part-time employee.
Okay, and currently, can you give us an idea of your recent, your funding streams? I mean, where are you getting your money from now?
Yeah, so VSAC was a founding sponsor, and they agreed to seed us to start us, and so they're phasing out of their funds at the end of this fiscal year. So VSAC has been a big supporter over the years. Will continue to be our backbone support and our key partner, but they are phasing out their financial commitment. The McClure Foundation has been a major key partner for us since our founding. The Nellie Mae Foundation was until recently, and they've shifted their focus of their philanthropy. That's a regional funder. And then the Wyndham Foundation, actually to Senator Campion's point, down in his, not his area exactly, but from Wyndham County. And then we have a few other philanthropic funders that are anonymous. But that's the main thrust of our funds. We have received funding from the New England Board of Higher Education for this work to create a credential registry. So they have also been a supporter in the last few months.
Thanks.
I think that covers it.
It's a really excellent way to make those connections, between employers and the jobs that are available and the education that's needed for them. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator.
Seeing no other questions, Mr. Cheney, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great presentation and terrific work, and all the best. And you know how to find us.
Great. Well, thank you very, very much. Great to see you all, and good luck with all your deliberations as you go forward.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Take care.
Okay, I think, Jeannie, would you mind taking us offline and